If she had chosen comfort over courage, if she had protected her throne instead of strangers, tens of thousands would have starved to death while history stayed silent. But one queen refused to watch people die, even when saving them meant risking everything she owned. Her name was Queen Helena of Adiabene, a foreign ruler who became the unlikely savior of an entire nation. This is the story of the queen who fought famine and won. Helena ruled Adiabene, a small kingdom nestled between the great empires of Rome and Parthia. Imagine her court, wealthy, protected, and comfortable. She had gold, influence, and power. But something in her life was about to change forever. Helena converted to Judaism. This wasn't a political move. It wasn't for an alliance. It was born from genuine belief. She immersed herself in the laws. She embraced the faith, and she raised her sons within it. For many rulers, this would have been a symbolic gesture. But for Helena, it was deeply personal. Then, disaster struck Judea. A famine so severe that fields turned to dust, grain vanished, and children collapsed in the streets. The price of food exploded. Families sold everything they owned just to survive another day. In Rome did nothing. The local leaders were powerless. People were dying quietly, painfully, forgotten. Helena was hundreds of miles away. She could have ignored it. No one would have blamed her. But she didn't. When the reports of suffering reached her palace, Helena did not ask how much it would cost. She asked how many were dying. And then, she acted. She emptied her royal treasury. Gold, she knew, meant nothing to a starving child. Helena sent ships to Egypt to buy grain at any price. She dispatched caravans to Cyprus for dried figs, foods that could survive the long and treacherous journey. Think about the scale of this. Empires moved slowly, bogged down by bureaucracy. Helena moved immediately. Her decision was not without risk. The journey itself was dangerous. Bandits attacked caravans. Political rivals back home questioned her loyalty to Adiabene. Her own advisors begged her to stop, warning that this famine aid could bankrupt her kingdom. She refused to listen. If my wealth cannot save lives, she reportedly said, then it was never worth keeping. When the first shipments arrived in Jerusalem, can you imagine the scene? People wept openly in the streets. Bread, a simple staple, appeared in neighborhoods that had known only hunger for months. Children lived, elders survived. Entire communities were pulled back from the brink of extinction. And the name whispered through the grateful crowds was not Rome's, it was Helena's. But a famine doesn't end with one shipment. So Helena stayed involved. She personally traveled to Jerusalem not as a conqueror, but as a servant. She supervised the distribution of food herself. She funded public kitchens to ensure the most vulnerable were fed first. She didn't rule Judea, she saved it. Here's what makes her story so extraordinary. Helena was not Jewish by birth. She was not the queen of Judea. By the standards of the time, she owed them nothing. Yet she gave them everything. Historical records, including those by the famed historian Josephus, credit Helena's aid with keeping thousands alive long enough for the rains to return, for harvests to be replanted, for families to rebuild, and for faith to survive. Without her, an entire generation might have been lost to history. But Helena never demanded praise. She never carved monuments to her own glory. She believed that saving lives required no reward. Her actions were their own justification. Years later, when her life was nearing its end, she made a final, powerful choice. She chose to be buried in Jerusalem, not in her own kingdom of Adiabene. Her tomb became a place of honor, not because she ruled with force, but because she ruled with mercy. Queen Helena proved something the world often forgets. True power isn't measured by how much you control, but by how much you give away when it matters most. She faced a catastrophic famine, not with empty speeches, not with hollow promises, but with decisive, compassionate action. And because of her, history remembers a queen who fed a nation and redefined what leadership truly means. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your favorite topic you want me to cover next. Your support helps bring these forgotten queens back to life.